I suppose you're the person they hired to take over for me?
I really need this job.
Circular motions, not up and down.
Of all the humans, I suppose I mind the cleaning lady the least.
First question, I just have to know, do you still eat calamari? Because I was a pescatarian, and now no more seafood after Marcellus, and that is true.
There's actually a deleted scene from the book, from an early draft of the book, where there's a party at the aquarium, and someone brings a tray of calamari out. And I got to write it. It's Marcellus's point of view, his reaction to this. It didn't make the cut ultimately, but no, I don't eat octopus. I could never. No, not after Marcellus.
So Shelby, I read that when you submitted this idea to your agent, her associate had written in the margins a little note that said, "This is either bananas or brilliant."
Yes.
The idea for a narrator like Marcellus.
Well, I taught myself how to write fiction. I didn't go to school for it, and in the process of doing that, I feel like I was always just looking for voices in the world around me that I could sort of harness and make my own. And I went down a YouTube rabbit hole one afternoon and of octopuses like misbehaving in captivity, and I think that's where the voice really came from. If I could give a voice to these mischievous octopuses, what would that sound like?
Olivia, how did you cast Sally Field and Lewis Pullman? Because my first thought was, who's going to play Mildred Cameron? And they did such a phenomenal job. I thought they were perfect for this.
The producers brought the book to her. She immediately read 2 chapters and said, get it. We have to do this. And so when I read the book, I knew that she was attached. So I was already picturing her in my head as I was reading it. We had to find somebody who could go toe-to-toe with Sally. Which is not easy because she's one of the most, comedic geniuses working, but she's also an actor with incredible range who can also tap into some really deep emotions and vulnerability. And I had seen Lewis do that, but then when I saw them in the room together, they played so naturally.
Olivia, as you worked on the screenplay, I read that you lost your mother and your sister-in-law and your home in the fires. And first of all, I'm so sorry to hear that, and I'm sorry to even use that as part of an interview question, but I had seen it in notes they sent out, so I thought you might be okay with sharing with me a little bit about how focusing on this story that does explore grief and love and everything that goes with that kind of helped you.
When I was working on this script, my mother-in-law was ill, and we were in the process of trying to figure out whether she needed to move out of her home, and she was very resistant to that. So I was living that experience of sort of how do you make those decisions and what's right for who, and who gets to say when they're ready to leave their home. And then right before we started prep, the fires hit LA, and like so many other people, we lost our home. And that made me sort of have a deeper understanding of what Tova was struggling with in her decision of whether to leave that house and let go.
It's only every few years that I feel so deeply impacted by a work of art as I was impacted by Remarkably Bright Creatures. The book really affected how I think about connection and community and communicating with the people that I love and telling them how I feel about them more often. For each of you, what is a work of art, whether it's a book, a movie, a song, fine art, that has really deeply affected your life in some way?
Well, I loved the Noah Khan song that plays along with the trailer. I actually have loved Northern Attitude from the moment I heard it, well before it was ever, a part of this story.
It's funny because I was going to say the end credit song by Mal Waldron, my son Mal is named after. And then when I was like trying to think of what does Marcellus sound like, I kept thinking of that bass clarinet.
Thank you for what you've given us. It's such a special story. The book and the movie, both beautiful. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, me too.